My name is Jean Gore. I am the granddaughter of Gary Rayner and Dale McClam, the great-granddaughter of Jerry Rayner and Lucinda Cogdale, and possibly the great-great-great-granddaughter of Mourning Rayner. And I live on their land, which is now mine, in the Grantham Township of North Carolina in Wayne County. The original farm we thought was 291 acres, and then I've done surveys, and so it appears that because the technology today is more laser focused and you get an accurate view, it's 275 acres. I did sales and business development and worked for Sherwin-Williams and Georgia-Pacific and traveled and made Gold Delta one year, traveled so much. But I always knew that if it came between my house in Marietta, Georgia and the farm would win. My people got sick and they could no longer, and they started dying. They asked me to keep the farm. Don't lose the farm. I also realized that I could never pay for what they left. But a lot of people don't look at it that way. And so I didn't understand this tract that I live on today because I didn't realize the history of it. Up until Aunt Hazel died, the land was still being farmed. But I'm not going to farm in that same vein. But when you have land, there are many resources and opportunities that you can do to do still other things that fit within agriculture. So I have cleared land that Granddaddy used to farm. And then I have a portion, 42 acres, that I planted in longleaf pine. I have forest ranger, forestry consultant. I have a forest management plan. And I talked with him. He introduced me to my hunt club, and then I got my CPA. And he suggested that we plant the sandy loam soil into trees and pine trees. My forest ranger at the time, he introduced me to the CRP program. And so he helped me enroll in that. The CRP program is a conservation resource program. And that was a program at that particular time that you were in for 17 years. Now, the upside of that, and they did some cost share. I don't exactly remember, but let's say maybe it was an 80-20 kind of thing. The thing that I never liked about it is that it handicapped you. So now they've got a CSP program, Conservation Stewardship Program. But the irritating to me, coming out of corporate America, is that they don't know what it is. They want you to apply for it. They can't tell you what your cost share is. They can't even tell you all the details of the program. And so that's not a good way to do business. So trying to get information about programs is like a root canal without Novocaine. That's my favorite subject to say, is because you go down to every time I would come home, I'd go down to the farm agency office and introduce myself to make sure they knew who I was. Another point in case was when I came home, I said, well, I've got this land. What can I do with it to make more money? I still don't know where or whom to go to if I wish to do something different. What I want to know is, why don't we get progressive, and for people like me who wouldn't mind doing something different, that we look at that. So what cost share is, you can say, well, it's 80-20 or it's 90%. Yeah, but you got to write a check out for $6,000 or $10,000 to plant those trees. Then you got to wait on them to process it through the government, and then it's going to come back to you. Well, if you're taking that from money that you could be taking, a farmer needs something he can get a yearly income from. He's probably taking a loan out so he can get the income, sell his crops, and then he can pay from that income. You do with a tree, and I'm here, my trees are 25 or more, and I have yet to get a dime from them. And people don't understand that. Cost share is subjective. So yes, I applied for the CSP program, the Conservation Stewardship Program. They don't know what the cost share is. How can I make a business decision when you're not telling me what the cost share is? You have to diversify. It's okay if you're doing produce, if you're doing mushrooms, if you're doing other types of commodities, soybeans or corn or whatever. But one item alone is not going to make you a profit of nothing that we do collectively. So I rent out my cleared land. I've got woodlands. I sell a little bit of pine straw when I can, but that is not something I can depend on. And so when I look for opportunities that maybe I could do something or invest, I don't see them. Farming is not, should not be political, because it is about nourishment and food. And that is it. And there's no one solution, but it needs to come from the farmers. So I don't know where farmers are going to go, but I talk to my neighbors that are farming, and they're just having they're having a hard time. For me, I don't know where farming is going to go. I can tell you my observation of looking at it. So my plan for me here was to create a sustainable environment for me. And my whole life has been on, I guess in retrospect, is making my folks proud of me and not losing what they worked out. But there comes a point in time that you have to evaluate nostalgia. And so what are we going to do? I do think the answer is more collaboration from the bottom up than with the top down. We don't need anybody else to take pictures. If you're not helping us, then no.